afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Nutmeg Sports on the HAN Network. We get to see out here. I mean, it's exciting stuff. A big day with Dave Stewart. I'm Rob Adams. Hockey coming up at 4 o'clock, Dave, but first and foremost, we'll talk a little girls hockey on this show. Rich Buellen's going to join us. We're trying to drag Susan Schultz back over to talk some girls ice hockey. And, of course, Rich will talk girls ice hockey as well as basketball. And, I mean, we got a lot to get to. How are you?
Yeah, doing all right. It's an exciting time of the year. The playoffs coming up, and girls basketball starting this weekend, girls hockey next week, and basketball, boys basketball and hockey shortly after that.
And all the playoffs here on the HAN Network, semis and finals in girls basketball, girls ice hockey, as well as the quarterfinals and the semis and the final in boys ice hockey. Bottom line is we've got it all.
There's a lot going on. There's definitely going to be a lot going on here over the next few weeks. Wrestling was great on Saturday, and we've. So far, so good.
It's
going to get real hectic.
It is, and we're working very hard to put together the spring broadcast schedule, which I know you're going to enjoy. It will start April 2nd. I feel fairly confident in that statement, unless things fall through technically, but I feel fairly confident. I even have an idea of the game, and I've already put it out to the school in question. So I am hopeful April 2nd at 11 a.m. we're off and running with spring. It'll
be fun. It's going to be here before you know it, too. I mean, we'll get involved in the playoffs for the winter, and bam, you're going to be right in the middle of the spring season. It's an early start this year, too. April 2nd's early.
While we wait on talking about girls hockey, let's jump into basketball, because as you were telling me off the air, there's so much in terms of the playoff seedings at this point. It's kind of crazy.
It is. It's just there's so many teams that you take the top three teams in boys basketball, Danbury, Trumbull, and Stanford out of it. They have one loss and then two losses each for Trumbull and Stanford. And you've got teams. West Hill, Ridgefield are 8-5. They're tied for fourth place now. West Hill would get the advantage over them because of the head-to-head tiebreaker. They did beat Ridgefield earlier this year. But you've got right now, Ward is at 8-6, and they are the 8th team in. So it's wide open. There's opportunity there for somebody to come in, maybe have a hot couple of weeks and get into the playoffs and maybe go on a run. I don't think, we've been saying it all year, I don't think there's a clear-cut favorite.
In boys basketball, Greenwich really kind of hurt themselves with a couple of bad losses as well.
Yes, yeah, but that's happened to a few teams. You have one bad week and all of a sudden you're out of it, and then you have a good week and you're right in the thick of things. Look, West Hill's 8-5; they're number 4 right now. Who would have figured a few weeks ago?
And I think we're starting to line up to have Rich Buellen on with us. In fact, I think we're good to go. The minute Eric gives me the thumbs up, which he gave me, I think we're there. Rich Buellen, how are you?
I'm good, guys. How you doing?
Doing well, thank you. This is an interesting show for us, Rich, first and foremost, because while you're having a great season with the Rams and it's a great hockey season, one of the things we're talking about on this show goes back about a year to the girls' championship game, and it's coming back up because it's award season and there's actually some hardware in the offering for us here at the network. But it just flashes back to that. What did we learn from last year's girls' state championship game as compared to this year?
I think we have a lot more protocol in place. There's no question marks anymore. The committee from the FCAC, which is John Kutzo, myself, Jamie Tropsa, and Chris Manfredonia, and the committee from the SEC, which is Frank Usiglia from East Catholic, and Dane Street, the AD from Simsbury, John Capone from West Haven, and Todd Petrino from North Haven. We really sat down and worked very hard at making sure we dotted all the I's and crossed all the T's and made sure that we had something in agreement going forward this year, and that something like that unfortunately would never happen again.
Dave.
Rich, congratulations to Rich Buellen. Won his 300th game at New Canaan High School, and I believe it's 435 overall, right?
Rich, yeah, thank you.
Yeah. We were talking the other day about the 300th win and what you've done here in New Canaan in 15 years. Just tell me about the program and the kids and the parents, the administration. Everything seems to just work like clockwork with that program.
Yeah, when I got here, it was kind of refreshing to see that there was a parents group that really, and an administration too. I mean, that was really gung ho about getting girls ice hockey off the ground, and they had a club program for, I think, Dave, you could correct me if I'm wrong, probably close to 3 years already by the time I'd gotten there. And one of the things that was impressed right away was the fact that there was a lot of talent right there, and I knew just by looking at what we had there and other teams had that it wasn't going to be long before, we were going to be able to become a league, and 3 short years later we did. Mm-hmm. So it was kind of impressive getting here and just seeing that everybody really was on board to make this a real successful venture, and I go back all the time. I can't thank all those people enough from the beginning.
One of the things, I've seen a lot of your games over the years, obviously, and one of the things that I find the most impressive, other than the performance on the ice, is how many girls come back, and you see girls watching the games. You're there during the holidays. Yeah. They're there on breaks. They're there, when they have time. Alumni from all different years. What's perpetuated that?
I think one of the things we as a coaching staff, and again, the parents and everybody that's involved, is we've really made this kind of a family deal. It feels like family. They treat each other like family. They've got each other's backs like family. As coaches, we push them hard, but at the same time, they really know that we care about them. We care about if they, have a sick grandparent or parent or uncle or something tough's going on with them academically, and the pressures of them getting into school. But they know that the coaching staff that we've had here, has always been there for them. And I think actually my dad told me something a long time ago, and I hate when my dad's right, but it is what it is. And it was, you show these kids you care, they're going to play harder for you than if you stand there and just yell at them constantly. And I think that's something we always took to heart. I know I always took to heart. The guys and girls I've always had around me as coaches have had that same mindset, and I think it's worked. I mean, like you said, I get such a kick out of how successful our alumni game's been, and I talk to other programs, and they're like, they don't have anybody that comes back, and not the numbers we do. And then, like you said, on the break, seeing how many girls are at the games, supporting, it's just great. But I'm just glad everybody's bought into it over the years and worked, to keep this what it is, because it is special. It's been very special.
Talking with Rich Buellin here, the head coach of New Canaan Girls Ice Hockey on the HAN Network on Nutmeg Sports with Dave Stewart. I'm Rob Adams. Dave was telling me, Rich, you're on a bus to Simsbury, so the team right there with you, I assume.
They're all right here. All the girls are watching either TV or, let's see, Catherine singing, and everybody's doing what they're doing. They're trying to keep it down so I can at least talk on the phone. But yeah, it's thank goodness we have a coach bus, because it's a long trip.
This year's team too. One thing I've noticed is there's a lot of fight in this team. You have lost to Darien twice in 2 great games, and what's the feeling with this team right now? There just seems to be a lot of battle in them.
Well, I think one of the things that we've really understood is there's no give up. There's no backing down. We understand we have the depth and the talent this year that we really should be in every game, and even if we're behind, we can get back into every game. And the leadership between Catherine and me and Carol and Kate McMahon, the 3 captains, has just been incredible. They're all 3 different people, but they're on the same wavelength when it comes to trying to keep this group together. And again, one of the biggest things has been, the play of our sophomores like Liz McCarthy and Gianna Bruno and Brooke Dean and Sarah Street. They all came back bigger, stronger, smarter, played the game harder. And the freshmen that are in the starting lineup, Amanda Hill, Sarah Murphy, Jess Eccleston, and Christina Marciano, it's just been huge what those 4 freshmen have contributed. I mean, I always say to them all the time, we're not here without you guys. I mean, you guys have jumped. And one of the things we always try to do here, and I know most programs do too, but we've had a lot of success with it. The seniors take these kids in right away and take them under their wing, and they don't feel like freshmen. They just feel like they're a part of the program, which I think adds to the confidence factor and the success factor. Is that, when you're not treated like freshmen, you're just treated like one of the gang. It makes a whole bit of difference. And and these four have really stepped it up for us.
It's always like a seamless transition for them, it seems, with your team.
Yeah, and you know what? We've been so blessed with that, guys. I mean, new girls come in, and the seniors understand what it takes to get them involved and get them in the fold, and it's just like, hey, I sit back and watch it, and I go, this is great.
It is great, and it's fun to watch, and we're getting excited for the playoffs and seeing everyone. And as always, we appreciate your time. And yes, very much congratulations on your 300th win. I know I know you're not big on talking about it, but we're pretty excited for you, and your team is great fun to watch, Coach.
Well, I appreciate it because, truthfully, I don't think my wife even knows I'm a hockey coach. So this is big. Thank you.
We'll do it again, Rich. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Rich.
All right, guys, you take care.
You too. Rich Muehlin, the head hockey coach for the girls at New Canaan High School. And, and we'll talk about it. We'll bring Susan Schultz on after this. But he took a lot of heat for what went on last year and really didn't deserve it, was stand up about the whole thing, came on this show a year ago to talk about it. We'll get to all that and more as we continue. Nutmeg Sports rolls on right after this on the HAN Network.
Here at the Darien Sports Shop, we are very excited about our newly redesigned men's department. Gentlemen, if you're shopping for work, weekend, or wedding, we've got the latest styles and trends inside our spacious new department just for you. We have vast selections from Peter Millar, Vineyard Vines, Johnny O, Duckhead, Barber, and so much more. And you can even walk out of the store in the new Wolverine 1,000-mile men's boot. Conveniently located with free and easy parking at 1127 Post Road, Darien, Connecticut, or shop us online at dariensport.com.
While there's still a bite out on the water, most anglers have decided to stow the gear for the winter. Just because Mother Nature isn't cooperating doesn't mean you can't see the latest models of all your favorite gear. With 2 convenient locations, it couldn't be easier to get your fix of summer. Boater, beach bum, fisherman, or simply love the New England coast, this is a unique place to shop. The Dock Shop, 51 Tokenique Road, Darien, 609 Riverside Avenue, Westport, or on the web, dockshop.com.
I'm Kate Chaplinsky. Join us for Coffee Break, weekdays at 11 to get the latest Connecticut news, weather, high school sports, and more. News doesn't get any more local than on Coffee Break on the HAN Network.
You are watching the HAN Network, and you're not alone. Nearly 500,000 viewers enjoyed our broadcasts in the first 5 months. Advertise on the network that reaches Fairfield County, Connecticut's most engaged audience. Contact Jessica Murrin, Advertising Director, at 203-273-7312 or email jessica@han.network.
Earlier today on CT Pulse, I should say, here on the HAN Network, Kate Chaplinsky and Josh Fisher were nice enough to have my friend Susan Schultz and I come over and talk about the nomination that we are up for at the New England Newspaper Press Association Awards ceremony coming up this weekend. Dave Stewart is also nominated, so I can harass him for a moment on the topic. But, Dave, I'll readily admit now, I am rather ambivalent when it comes to awards, and I feel awkward about it. But there was something about being nominated for this one. It actually hit me in a really, I still can't describe my emotions. And so I wanted to have Susan come on and talk about that because it is a sports story, and it's a story all 3 of us are aware of in the end, as we talked about on CT Pulse. And please go watch that. You get the backstory there. But the long story short was there was a 2-2 double overtime tie. They could not play any longer for varying reasons, and then it became a whole storm of, is it gender problem? What was it? What it came down to was that it was a wonderful hockey game. Let's start there. It was a wonderful girls' ice hockey game.
Great girls' ice hockey game, and unfortunate that kind of got lost in the shuffle with everything because that's what tends to happen with controversy. Is the controversy overwhelms the actual play on the ice or on the court or whatever have you. So I think, and it was also kind of a big moment for us as a company too, because that was, we got a little obviously getting the award nomination is great, but got a little recognition about it, got the name out there, so, in a manner of speaking, and it was a big moment. It definitely was.
We made some friends nationally that I didn't quite expect to make, and that's where Susan comes in, because she's a national star to begin with. But, regardless of that, Susan, I can even remember one morning you texting me and saying, "I just heard your voice on TV."
Yep, I did. Yeah, well, I always watch CNN in the morning, and all of a sudden I started hearing about a girls' hockey game, and then they played the call and your discussion about how it was disappointing that it ended in a tie. And that's where I realized the discussion nationally had come up about whether or not it was because it was a girls' game versus a boys' game. And then obviously there was a lot of Twitter activity about that as well, and a lot of people were asking you for the audio because you guys were the only ones there.
Yeah, we were the only broadcasters.
So that was the only audio that existed. So I just, while it didn't end up, as we said earlier, being a girls' issue, I still think it raised an important discussion because there's a reason that Title IX exists, and that's also sometimes controversial. But, it remains the fact that sometimes girls' sports don't necessarily get as much attention, maybe not as much fundraising, maybe not as much equal time as boys' sports do. And I know Darien had this issue a few times.
Sure.
With the new high school, they didn't build a swimming pool. So several times, Darien swim team parents have, filed Title IX complaints. So whether or not it ended up actually being a gender issue, it raised an important discussion, I think.
A couple of memories still stick out to me besides the game itself. And again, I mentioned this on CT Pulse, but I want to make sure I recognize, because we had some really good people who worked with us. I did the play-by-play, but Eric Gendron, working through a bad cold that day, did color. Chris Kalin came along later on, as did Jake Zimmer. So we had a great crew who worked that broadcast, and then Paul Silverfarb and I on Nutmeg Sports at the time. Rich Buellin came on, all those captains. That's where I'm going to come back around to you, because you listened to that show where we had the captains on, and I remember you telling me how it, and I hope I'm not embarrassing you, it hit you emotionally.
It did. I mean, as I said earlier in the previous show, that, these girls were very gracious, and they were so grateful for the support, even though they knew it wasn't necessarily there for them, but they were just, it was so great for them to play such an important game with so many cheering fans. And I mean, while it was great, it still made me a little sad that, that's the only way they seem to be able. Now, granted, it was obviously out-of-town teams, too, which probably contributed to that as well. But they did say they'd never really felt an experience like that, regardless of where they played.
And Dave, you and I were texting each other that Sunday, because, you were getting it from an FCAC point of view. I had people like Jack Edwards, who used to be on ESPN, so he knows Connecticut well, now the TV voice of the Boston Bruins, and an interesting guy in his own right. I talked to him. We called each other and chatted about it. It was a wild weekend for both of us.
It was crazy. It was crazy because I was taking a little bit of the brunt of it through the FCAC Twitter account, because that's where people go now to, voice their displeasure. But I think the important thing with that was, with the girls, having the girls on too, is that, obviously they were in a situation they didn't want to be in, but they seemed to be handling it well. They voiced their opinions, they voiced their displeasure with it, and anytime things like that happen, I think it's what comes of it is the most important thing. What comes out of it afterwards, and if better organization, better knowledge of girls hockey in Connecticut, which I think we sometimes in the FCAC, because the FCAC has had girls hockey for a much longer time than it's been throughout the rest of the state at the public schools. It's a little more out in the open. It's a little more there. I know in New Canaan, it's always gotten a lot of attention. The programs, the boys and girls programs have been on a par, both in results and and what they've accomplished. And I think that's what. But I think the big thing is, that it got out in front of everybody.
It did.
And that what comes of it is the big thing.
I think everybody lived and learned from it. So we do the game, then the two shows, the one with Rich Buellin, the one with the captains. Then Susan goes and writes the editorial, which you can still read at DarienTimes.com. And then it just kind of hit me in the days after when you printed that, when you published that. I remember you and I talking and saying to you, there's, I mean, not to sound narcissistic, but there was a feeling that maybe we should put this into NEMPA.
Right, because the multimedia category, and I had to write a letter to explain to NEMPA why I thought it was worth it, and because it was approaching the story from a bunch of different media angles. So, I mean, it was like, I thought the perfect entry for something like multimedia.
And so we're obviously very honored to be nominated for it. Emotionally, it hit you and I, and so it's pretty cool. Before we let you run, because I'm going to embarrass you anyway, you have something cool coming out this weekend at NEMPA, and I'm going to make sure I'm there to get a copy of it.
Yes, NEMPA this year is doing they did a compilation of short stories, Crime in the Newsroom. It's called Murder, Inc. And and I have one of the short stories in it, and the launch is being conducted in conjunction with the convention. So that's kind of cool.
So
excellent.
She's a heck of a horror writer, and always proud to read her work. So I had to get that in there for you.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
But great job on that editorial. It
Thanks.
certainly inspired me, and it just goes to show, Dave, as a company, all the things we could do.
Right.
Yeah, and then there's a good variety of things going on up there with at least from the HAN network standpoint, and it's going to be pretty good stuff.
You're up for something too. Don't let that go.
Yeah, something. So.
Come on, you're not at least going to say something?
It's something. It's a special section, New Canaan High School's preview, I believe, from 2014 fall, and a sports photo, which I believe, and I'm not sure, is a swimming photo that I took for that, because I submitted a few, and they only told me the category I'm nominated in. So,
all right. I know you got to get back to editing the Darien Times. Thanks, pal.
Yep.
All right, as we head to break, Eric's reminded me that we do have the audio available of that game, and maybe if Eric wants to run it as we go to break, we can do that. Back with more Nutmeg Sports right after this on the HAN Network.
Stopping and waiting is Katie Grigley. Grigley with 3, brings it across. Maggie Grigley with 1, and we go to the end of double overtime.
Yeah, why not? We play 6. Let's go. So now we're going to do 3 games tonight, Rob.
Jeez. How you doing, Eric?
I'm okay.
The problem is he drank all his water. Eric needs a drink, people.
They are lining things up, and it looks like
we're going to have a tie.
We're going to have co-champions. Now, Simsbury is still talking at their bench.
I think they're looking to come out for another period.
I don't blame them. They have called this game after double overtime. I don't know about you, but I feel empty.
Just a bit. Co-champs is not a fun thing, but, we got a lot of paying customers in here waiting to see a different game. And
I think a lot of people are annoyed that we're ending in a 2-2 tie, if you want to know the truth. I have to admit, folks, this is one of the more disappointing ends I've ever seen to a sporting event.
Denali is your outdoor retail destination in the Westfield Trumbull Mall. For the last 21 years, we have carefully selected clothing, footwear, and gear from a variety of the best outdoor brands, such as the North Face, Patagonia, Vineyard Vines, UGG, Merrell, GoPro, New Balance, and many more. Our stores have a friendly, knowledgeable staff to help you with all of your running, hiking, and cold weather needs, and in discovering all things outdoorsy and awesome. Visit us in the Westfield Trumbull Mall or online at DenaliOutdoor.com.
When you experience a sports injury, you want to get better and fast. Coastal Ortho Express gives you direct access to orthopedic care quickly. Their physicians are fellowship trained in sports medicine at world-class universities and are also team doctors for area football teams. For specialized personal care of sports injuries, go to Coastal Ortho Express. Open Monday through Saturday in the iPark building, 761 Main Avenue in Norwalk, or coastalorthoexpress.com. Coastal Orthopedics, keeping you on the move.
Do you do a lot of running around but get nowhere when you're buying a car? Visit Pamby Chrysler Jeep Dodge and Ram for the one-stop buying experience and stop spinning your wheels.
It's the new year. The to-do list is long and it's easy to feel pulled in many directions at once. Your professional personal shoppers at Walter Stewart's are ready to check groceries off your list by shopping for you. Save extra time this year and spend it doing more important things. Great food and wine delivered to your home with the same-day service. Shop Stewart's online at stewartsmarket.com.
Here at the Organic Yard, we use bionutritional products in our lawn care programs, which reduces the need for fertilizers, nitrates, phosphates, and pesticides up to 80%, making a safer environment for your family and pets. With our organic lawn treatment, you'll receive vigorous, healthy plants with improved root development and better drought resistance. Enroll now in our 2016 Organic Yard program and get a free organic deer tick treatment. Call us today at 914-764-5491 or go to our website at millerslandscapinginc.com.
I'm John Kovach. I'm a newspaper editor. I'm a high school football coach. I'm a television presenter. And I want you to love fishing as much as I do. Tune into Yankee Fisherman, Thursdays at 1 on the HAN network. It's like going to the tackle shop without leaving your office.
Welcome back to Nutmeg Sports as we get toward the end of a Wednesday edition. I'm Rob Adams, Dave Stewart over there. We'll have the call of Darien and Greenwich in a little while right here on the HAN Network in boys ice hockey. Top seed in the FCAC on the line, and the Greenwich Cardinals have got to prove the doubters wrong, because I think most people think that the Blue Wave are far and away the best team right now. We'll see if the Cardinals are up to the task at 4 later today. But Dave, let's turn our attention to girls basketball, because things are interesting there as well.
Yeah, we're in the last day of the season, regular season. Playoffs start on Saturday, and it's interesting because the top 2 seeds are very important, because the top 2 seeds are going to host the doubleheader on Saturday in the quarterfinals. So you're going to get the number 1 seed's going to host the 1-8 game and the 4-5 game, and the number 2 seed's going to host 2-7, 3-6. So it's a home game. Now Ward is definitely going to be one of those teams. Trumbull, Stanford play each other tonight, which is a huge game. That's right at Stanford at 7, and the winner of that is going to be the 2 seed and get to host a game. So it's big in that sense. In terms of the overall picture, we've got 7 of the 8 seeds are in, and another big game is Norwalk at St. Joe's.
Yes.
Now they're both 8 and 7, tied for 8th place. Winner in, loser out. Pretty cut and dry there. The other one, the loser goes and waits for the states to start. We're looking at Ward clinching with a win over Staples tonight. They're 14 and 1. The only possibility of them not finishing number 1 would be a loss to Staples, and if Trumbull beats Stanford, because if Trumbull and Ward finish tied, they're both 14 and 1 right now. Ward gets the head-to-head tiebreaker. Stanford is 13 and 2. Ridgefield's 12 and 3. Greenwich is 12 and 3. Also, those are 3, 4, 5 in that order right now. Now Stanford, if they lose, they could fall all the way to number 5. You've got Ridgefield's playing Trinity. Greenwich is playing McMahon. You never know what can happen, but those Ridgefield and Greenwich will be heavily favored in those games. If there is a 3-way tie with Stanford, Ridgefield, and Greenwich, Ridgefield comes out on top, so they could be the 3 seed.
With no disrespect to Ludlow, Wilton, Norwalk, St. Joe's, I feel like any one of those top 5 absolutely can win a championship.
Definitely, it's a top-heavy league right now. I never want to say never, but those teams are really, they're really. I mean, it's really a great group of teams right there. They have that, and any one of those teams on any given year, you could see them winning a team with those makeups. You could see winning an FCA championship, even a state championship. So that's going to be interesting in of itself too. Ludlow is definitely number 6. Can't move up. Actually, they could fall to number 7 if Wilton beats New Canaan and they lose to Danbury. So that'll be the 6 and 7 teams, and then of course the 8 is going to be either Norwalk or St. Joe's. So still some things to hash out in terms of seeding, and getting that number 2 seed will be big for somebody, either Trumbull or Stanford tonight. So that's a big one.
And this has been a very heavy girls ice hockey show as we wrap things up, but we know the top 4. That's what gets into the FCAC.
That's it.
Hard to see over Darien or New Canaan.
Yes, yeah. New Canaan's going to get Ridgefield, and Darien's going to get the Stanford West Hill Staples co-op team. Could be some interest there. Ridgefield has given New Canaan some trouble over the years, although they've handled them this year. And Claire Parry, the goalie for Stanford, has done a good number on Darien this year sometimes, but Darien's come out on top every time.
All right, quickly as we say goodbye, and that will do it for Nutmeg Sports. Tonight we've got the hockey at 4 o'clock, Greenwich and Darien. Then next Tuesday, the girls' semifinals in basketball. We'll have it for you on Tuesday. Looking forward to that. big playoff schedule coming up. But we'll see you for hockey at 4. We'll see you for coffee break to get things started tomorrow. For our entire crew, thanks to Rich Buellin and Susan Schultz, Eric Gendron directing for Dave Stewart. I'm Rob Adams. Enjoy your day. Come along for hockey at 4 o'clock. Thanks for watching Nutmeg Sports on the HAN Network.